Today we're going to talk about summer and how you plan out your summer and what that looks like. It's going to be individual for each of us, but I've got a series of questions here that I have asked myself and to help me kind of figure out what the summer months look like. And I haven't answered all of them yet in its entirety. I wanted to give this to you early enough that you've got a lot of time to think about it before school's out. And so having said that, if you can get a pencil, paper, take some notes here and work through these questions, you'll find it to be hopefully really eye-opening and insightful, and get clarity about what your family's summer is going to look like, because it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. You do not need to go down the Pinterest rabbit hole. You do not need to compare your summer to somebody else's on Instagram. If you answer these questions, you're going to have some really great, clear priorities about what matters for you at this time and can navigate summer with confidence, even if it looks different than everybody else's.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation, and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
This episode is all about what is in your circle of influence that you can do right now with what you've got for the best of your family so you can navigate your days confidently this summer. And if this is resonates with you, if you like this, then that is really what the Surviving to Thriving Toolkit is all about. This toolkit is designed to help empower you every single day to be able to navigate each day with confidence, no matter the season of life that you are in, no matter the season of motherhood you're in. And you can sign up for the wait list to get when the program opens up again at survivingtothrivingtoolkit.com. We've got incredible women in the program right now. We're working through it together. We're refining it. We're finishing building it out with this first group. And when the doors are ready to open, you will be the first to know that it's available and you can check it out. So you can get that at survivingtothrivingtoolkit.com. Okay, today's episode, we're diving deep into questions that I've asked myself. I highly recommend you ask yourself to be able to have a really awesome, confident summer with your kids. So I'm going to talk through the questions. I'll share the answers that I already have, with the caveat that I will change my mind probably on some of these things, and that is okay. You can do that too. So my first question for you, and the one that I really like to start with, is what skills will make things easier in the next season? So as I start to think about what can we do this summer, it can be really easy to compare yourself to others and think about like, well, this mom is having her kids do X, Y, and Z, or my kids, signing up for this thing or this activity or this summer camp, or they're doing this at home for school. I mean, just so many options, right, of ways that we can see what other people are doing. But I think this core question is for you and your family, what are the skills that if you work on them will make things easier? Now, these are skills both for maybe academics, perhaps. Could also be skills for life skills. Could be skills for running your home. Could be skills for like interpersonal skills, like how are we talking to each other? So, in our family, it's going to look like a variety of things. So this summer, if we can get math facts down, if we can improve writing skills, that's going to make our next school year go a lot easier. It's going to set my kids up for more success. It's going to make the higher math easier. It's going to make, the writing as they get older, and, I've got older kids. It'll make just some of their schoolwork a lot smoother for them. And so that, is one element of things that we're going to be working on this summer. Specifically, I love the Math Facts That Stick series by Kate Snow. So I've got all of those books. I'm creating a math facts challenge for each of my kids that has the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Just like boxes they can check off when they get a whole sequence of math series, of facts out. So we can kind of see where they're at and they can progress on their own. For writing, I went ahead and got the Good and the Beautiful Creative Writing Notebook, and I honestly don't care how much progress they make in there, but just having a different prompt every day, they can flip anywhere in that book and have something to write on about that's different. Adding a little bit of variety will be there for them, and then all about spelling. So for my kids, where writing is really closely tied to how they struggle with spelling, we'll do all about spelling, and that, again, working towards those skills of just making next year season easier. Now, do I think everybody should be working on those skills this summer? Absolutely not, right? These are very specific things that my kids need to set us up for success in the next season, especially when you factor in they're going to need to be a little more independent as they get older, and we got a baby coming. So they just need to be a little bit faster on the draw on some of these things. So that is why those are priorities for me, but they do not need to be priorities for you. Now, the second question I like to ask is, how can I set this up to be independent or more independent? Okay, so when we start to think the skills we want to learn, that doesn't mean everything has to be independent, but during the summer months, especially as a homeschooling mom, so much of my time during the school year is spent with homeschooling, but it's also spent with regular household management and cooking meals and all of these things. And so during the summer, I also need the flexibility to scale back and be able to prioritize and think about different things, to be able to plan the next school year out. In this case, to be really pregnant and have a baby. So I want to be thinking, how can this be more independent? Not just, again, for my benefit, but also for their benefit, right? The more we can equip our kids, they feel independent and powerful and competent, the better. And sometimes this can be as simple as setting up the environment. So for example, we've really worked on decluttering bedrooms. The rest of our house is pretty good. Well, we're actually going through the whole house right now with deep, like minimalizing our house. In preparation, because I had this epiphany. If you missed it a few months ago on this podcast, I shared that I have a new goal now to have our house function smoothly and well, even when we're in survival mode. Like, that's the standard. Our house functions great when I'm not surviving, when my physical abilities are normal, but they're not a lot of the time. So why do I have my house set up for my ideal or my best or even my pretty good? I need it for like my not good. So that's how we are. That's my why into how I'm working through my house right now. So having said that, one of the beautiful and surprising and awesome things was for my kids, my younger two, once we like really simplified the room, all of a sudden they're folding and putting their laundry away without being asked. They're cleaning up the room without being asked. They are putting the dirty laundry in the laundry basket without being asked. They're asking how to wash the laundry now. It's like all of a sudden this bandwidth was freed up, and things that felt like they needed a lot of extra attention from me just disappeared overnight, like literally overnight, right? So sometimes setting things up to be independent is a subtraction of things. It's simplifying a space. It's setting up the environment to support them. Sometimes it's looking at resources, right? So in this case, having a chart so the kids can manage how well they're memorizing their math facts on their own and take some ownership of that. Of, will I be supporting it, checking it off, confirming? Absolutely yes. But I want them to have the ball in their court. We've also purchased, I got planners for my kids so that they have the ability to start managing themselves more during the day with their personal care, with their skill work. And we're starting that during our school year. But it's something that I intend to have them carry through the summer just because there's less management on my part, right? It's transferring that over to them. So this idea of fostering independence is going to look different depending on what skills you're looking at, but I highly recommend you think through that, whether it's how you set up the environment, whether it's what you take out of the environment, whether it's what resources you tap into, or even just knowing that, okay, for the first few weeks here, I'm really going to focus on teaching the skill with this child, and we're going to go through this progression of working together and scaffolding this skill so that they can become independent by the end of the summer. Maybe it's not the start of the summer independence, it's the end of the summer independence, and that's wonderful. Okay, my third question is, how does our daily rhythm need to change with this new season? So for us, it's like a pretty obvious, like this new season, one, is going to look different because school's different, right? If your kids are in school, it's going to look super different when they're at home. Even when we're homeschooling, there's an adjustment of what's happening based on the weather. We used to be able to go work home inside all morning while it was chilly, and then we'd go out in the afternoon. Well, by the afternoon now, lunchtime hits and it is way too hot. We're pushing 80s, 90s already. And so we need a massive revamp on our day if we don't want to be stuck inside all day in the summer. And so looking at what that looks like. And so for us, maybe it means going to walk in the morning. We're looking at pool options for the afternoon, looking at adjusting when we're doing our skill work or when we're doing our reading together. So all of those things factor in. And for you, what is that going to look like for you? I highly recommend, like, if you can keep your anchors solid. I talk about this in the Surviving to Thriving Toolkit, and Win Your Week Academy. But this idea of having your anchors in your day being something that your family can always rely on. So for us, we always do scripture study at breakfast. We always do our kitchen jobs right after breakfast. We always have a rest and read time during the day. So there's a dependable, quiet time during the day. We do our nights together with dinner and a predictable bedtime routine. Those are anchors for us, but everything else is kind of up for grabs. And so look at those in your own day. Define your anchors and look at what that looks like in your new season. And fourth question, a companion question to that is, how does our weekly rhythm change with the new season? So for example, we've been doing homeschool group on Friday night, Fridays in the afternoons. And that's when that pairs with our library time really nicely. Well, in the new season, I think we're switching to like probably Tuesday mornings instead when it's cooler in the park. So, everyone's seasons are going to change. Your extracurriculars are going to be different throughout the week. What's happening. So your daily and weekly rhythm are changing. Now, if you've got the Thriving Motherhood Planner 2025, each quarter we have the weekly template pages here, so you can write this through. So page 140 for the current quarter, you've got weekly template here where you can sit down and block out what does this look like within a day, within a week, so that you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. And you can write down what's working as you figure it out. Don't think you have to sit down and come up with this master plan, but as your weeks go by, little bit by little bit, you'll be able to say, oh, that worked really well on Tuesday. That worked better on Friday. Ooh, I liked how we did this job on Wednesday. And you can kind of start to piece together your week for the summer. And you might, again, little changes make a big difference. So don't feel like you've got to start over from scratch. Take what's working well, make 1 to 2 tiny changes, try and keep your anchor solid, and you can make those little adjustments. All right, the next question for you is, as you're thinking about summer, so we've kind of talked about skills, we've talked about how to make it independent, we've kind of zoomed out a little bit and talked about, the rhythms of our days and our weeks changing, thinking through that. But the next question is, what is necessary for our home to run smoothly right now? And how will the kids be involved? So I highly recommend going back and watching this podcast episode from a few weeks ago about our simple cleaning routine right now and how we've identified what we do daily and weekly in our home, because it's not complicated. It doesn't involve charts or cards or long lists. It's very, very simple, but it's really effective. And so, and it matches what our priorities are for this season. And so instead of going through that entire process again, go listen to that episode as you want to think about what's necessary for your home to run smoothly right now. And then think about how the kids will be involved in that, because it can be really easy in the summer to swing the pendulum too far one way or the other about how much are they doing versus how much are you doing at home. And instead of everyone kind of all having responsibilities so that things go smoothly, and as a mom don't feel like you're totally put upon for everything. And to be honest, this is like it's a balancing act, and we don't have it perfect all the time over here. It takes some adjustment and ebb and flow, but something to definitely think through. Now, next question is, what are the kids excited about, interested in, goals and priorities that they have? So a lot of this was thinking about what do I care about? What are my priorities? What's practical? What's set in stone? But also, let's have a conversation with your kids, right? What do they care about? What are their priorities? What are they interested in? What do they want to be trying? What does summer look like to them? So I've got a couple of kids here that are like swimming. Swimming is what matters to us more than anything. We just want to be in the pool. Well, that's really great information for me to know, right? So instead of me trying to schedule tons of different things, like knowing pool is the priority right now, good information. Or maybe they're really interested in doing this project. Okay, great. Well, let's see if we can figure out what that looks like in our day. So asking your kids, and this can be one-on-one meetings, this can be conversation around the dinner table, this can be, what did you remember from last summer that you really liked that you want to do again? Summer reading program always pops up on our list from our local library. But this is a great time to ask your kids, especially before it starts, giving yourself a little bit of a runway to do some of that prep and preparation, for us, getting a pool membership, right? It just takes a little bit of time. So giving yourself some lead time to be able to prep and execute can be wonderful. All right, we got 2 more questions here. What would make the summer fun and enjoyable for all of us? I am someone who's like, let's knock things out, let's get things done, let's be practical, but What can you do to make this fun and enjoyable? And I don't know, maybe this is like a homeschool parent thing where we're here together all the time. So I'm like, oh, we're not doing quite as much school stuff as we normally do. Let's like knock out some other priorities, right? That's kind of my inclination. And that's probably on hyperdrive, knowing that a newborn's about to reach us. So I'm, probably way too far on that end. But I think it's really important, like, what would make the summer fun and enjoyable? Is it having fires in the backyard and roasting s'mores? Or is it having more people over for, a block party or just gathering together? Is it getting a big box of popsicles so that you have something fun to eat in the afternoon? Like, it doesn't always have to be big and grand, right? There can be simple things too. Is it meeting up with friends at parks once a week? Think through, what does fun and enjoyable look like for you and your family in this season? It can be simple, right? Read alouds at night, board games together, pulling out an instrument and playing in the evenings with the later hours. Maybe it's getting really involved in a book series together that you're reading at bedtime because the sun's up and they aren't going to sleep anyway, so you're all just going to enjoy getting sucked into a book, right? What would make it memorable? What would make it fun? What would make it enjoyable? And then here is also a really important question, and I'm putting it at the end here. Maybe it needs to go towards the beginning, but what are unique challenges or circumstances that your family has right now? And how can you work with them? So for example, challenges and circumstances. Challenges, third trimester pregnancy and having newborn. Like for me, that's pretty clear. We've got some workarounds that we're going to have to, manage with that. And just logistics that we're going to have to deal with this summer. Also, we've got, a kid going to a week-long camp. My husband's going to be at a conference for a whole week this summer. So it's just going to be me and the kids. We've got family coming to travel in, right? You're going to have your own list of summer realities. Some of them might be hard things. Some of them might just be trips that you've already planned or family coming to visit or, life, kitchen remodels that are disrupting your life. What is it for you that you're working around? So when we don't want to ignore that. I think I can be really good, and I've worked with so many women over the last, 5 years, 6 years, where it's like we have this whole list of things we want to do or ways we want to be fun or all these things that could be awesome for our family, and we're completely ignoring everything here. And then when we're trying to work through this list, we're so confused why this stuff keeps getting in the way, right? Instead, we want to really focus on and include the full picture of our circumstances and our reality and try and work with it. So, for example, I'm having a newborn. Life is going to slow down dramatically for us. And that's a great thing. However, I got a bunch of kids here at home and our family lives 30 hours away on the other side of the country. So what are we going to do? I devised baby camp last time I had a baby 5 years ago. And so my kids are a little bit older now. And so baby camp really just looked like I ordered a bunch of picture books. I got some simple crafts and activities. And every day while I'm still hanging out in bed and they need something to do, we'd read a new book together, or we would do a little activity together, but it's something I didn't have to move for, and they could come hang out with me in my bed or on our couch. So this year, everyone, it's 5 years later, everyone's older, and I have the Wild and Free Enchanted Homeschooling course. It's a 12-week-long program. Am I going to try and do all 12 weeks this summer? Absolutely not. But they're kind of different fun activities from what we normally do, and so that's going to be baby camp for a couple of weeks. I'll probably plan out 2 or 3 weeks of that program, make sure I have the supplies on hand, and when we are just at home with their baby, they need something to do during the day that's a little bit different, a little novel, we will do baby camp, and they will get to do something from that program. And so it's just a simple way of, okay, this is how I'm working with our circumstances. I'm trying to make it fun, trying to keep these interesting, trying to be proactive with the fact that I'm going to have serious limitations. But it doesn't have to be the end of the world for everybody, right? We can make it a sweet, enjoyable, memorable time. So what is it going to be for you? What are some of those unique things or circumstances that you need to factor into your summer? So quick recap of all of these questions, and then I would love for you, if you're watching on YouTube, to answer it in the comment below. Which one of these questions was most helpful for you, and what are you going to do with it, right? So, okay, question recap. What skills will make things easier in the next season for your kids if they know these things, or even for yourself, to be honest? How can I set this up to be independent or more independent for them as they work on it, or at the end become independent in this thing? How does our daily rhythm need to change with the new season? And how does our weekly rhythm change with this new season? What's necessary for our home to run smoothly right now? And how will the kids be involved in the running of the home? What are the kids excited about or interested in, have their own goals, the priorities? What are they looking forward to? What would make the summer fun and enjoyable for all of us? And then what are the unique challenges or circumstances our family has right now, and how can we work with them? So wish you luck here as you answer these questions, and hope that it really helps you process and think ahead and create a wonderful summer for your family, no matter what season you're in right now, and no matter what struggles you might be going through. And if you want support on those skills that you need as a mom to have a thriving mindset, to feel like you are confident and empowered in your day-to-day life, no matter what season you're in, you can go to survivingtothrivingtoolkit.com and learn more about that, the toolkit, which is designed to be bite-sized, quick, powerful things you can do every day to improve your life and your confidence as a mom and as an individual who has a whole lot of people relying on you. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you next week.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.